This is Paul from Electric Scooter Guide, the channel that scientifically tests more electric scooters than anybody else. And if a week ago you had asked me, Paul, what's the best electric scooter that goes 50 miles per hour for less than $2,000, I would have looked at our database of 163 scooters that we've tested and told you nothing even comes close. But this week, I'd have a different answer. That was the new Solar P1 Pro, and this is our full review. We've got the specs, what we like and don't like about the ride quality and build quality, tested performance with the ESG certified top speed and range. We'll cover portability, the reliability score, plus what else you could buy for about the same price, and I'll take you along for a first-hand view of the testing we do.
Sometimes I feel a little slutty, falling in love with a different scooter every week. Well, sometimes it's love, sometimes it's lust, sometimes it's indifference. But this week, it's gonna be the Solar P1 Pro, and I'm pretty excited about this because their smaller scooters, the P1 2.0 and P1 3.0, were the fastest for the price we've ever tested, and I don't know what this is gonna be because I haven't got it out of the box yet, and that's really where the fun starts. All right, we're off to a good start because we are double boxed, and that's a good sign. Okay, we have a love note inside. Be sure to press the silver button on the side of the chassis to turn on the scooter. That's a good one because, yeah, that's a weird feeling when you hit the power button and nothing happens, but there's an extra power button down low. All right, we are plugged in. We are charging. And tomorrow testing begins.
All right, I've brought the P1 Pro upstairs. I've just stood up the stem, but now I'm gonna set it up a little bit. This week I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna just kind of bring you along with me as I do all the testing and the setup and just kind of discover what the P1 Pro is all about. But first, even before I get to assembly, I gotta give you a first impression. This scooter is so much bigger than I thought it was gonna be. We've got the P1 3.0 over here. I'll try to do a little side-by-side shot later, but in the pictures, you can't get it. Like, the scale of these two doesn't really compute because this has 11-inch tires. This is a big scooter. This is like a pretty serious scooter. This is a big boy. This is a scooter with a lot of power, a big battery, and for people that want to go really, really fast. For general purpose riding, even like some pretty sporty stuff, the P1 3.0 is pretty awesome. But the P1 Pro is, I can already tell, gonna be on another level. I can tell there's a lot of new stuff here that I haven't seen before. One of the things I love about the Solar scooters is they come with full-size tools. We've got a 13mm wrench here and a full set of Allen wrenches. This guy slides up and over. Very nice. All right, so the dashboard is held in place by this center bolt here, and then the bars, we're gonna slide those up into place, and then we'll pinch them down from either side. And one thing I should point out is that even though the instructions in the box told me I had to turn on this metal switch on the deck to get things started, I still kind of forgot that when I came to turn everything on and wondered for a second why I was getting no power when I turned it on up here. And it's because there is a master switch down here, and that's pretty handy because if you're gonna store it for a long time, that's a great way to just make sure that everything is shut off and there's no power drain at all. All the other controls seem to be locked down, but the throttle, they did not lock down. They left it that way so that you can put it, exactly where you want it and lock it down. All right, the throttle is locked down. These brakes feel a little high to me. I'm gonna adjust them downward just a bit, and I like to leave them just a little bit loose, and partly so when I'm out there riding, I can adjust them. Also, if I ever tip over, it gives them a little room to move and it can help prevent them from breaking off. Now I've got everything connected. Let's check out the modes real quick. So the P1 Pro has a ton of modes. I can operate it in here. I'm gonna shoot this both ways here so you can kind of follow along up close. So we've got Eco Pro, we've got Comfort, and we've got Sport mode. And I think those are all just sort of throttle response. It's not like a speed limit. And then over here, there's rear motor, front motor, or they call it front and back, and now both front and back. And then we have, what we call the gears, and that's these guys right here. And those are your speed limits. So in the lower one, we're limited to 20, 21 miles an hour. And then in gear 2, we're spinning all the way up to 35. and then in gear 3, then we're unlimited. So 66 miles an hour is what I'm seeing in gear 3. And now we're not gonna go that fast out in the real world, but what it means is the firmware is just not limiting us to go slower than that. We're gonna be just limited by absolute output power. I'm really curious to see how fast this is gonna go when I go test it. But before we get to tested performance, let's start off with some specs. The 1560 watt-hour battery in the P1 Pro is huge. It's 60 volts and 26 amp hours and made from 21700 cells. That's the same size battery as in the eMove Cruiser S and surprisingly a little bit bigger than the one in the Segway GT2. Claimed range is 50 miles, but that's probably at 15 miles per hour on flat ground. But we'll show you the ESG certified range in just a minute. Claimed top speed is 50 miles per hour, and we'll show you our exact measurements there too. When you go to the Solar website and check out the P1 Pro, there are a surprising number of options, and some of them are free, like whether you want a twist throttle or a thumb throttle, or if you prefer road tires or knobby tires, they're the same price. And some of the options cost extra, like you can get an optional seat for $55, or there are the Tron lights that come in one of 4 colors and cost $140. Fortunately, performance is not optional. You get 4,000 watts of nominal power from the dual motors and 6 kilowatts of peak power from dual sine wave controllers pushing 45 amps apiece. It also comes standard with a 2-year warranty, 11-inch tubeless tires with sealant pre-installed, and of course, free shipping out of their LA warehouse.
Okay, this is my very first ride on the Solar P1 Pro. Okay, I'm in gear 1. Let's bump that up to gear 3. I'm in sport mode. I'm in dual motor. Okay, everything's turned all the way up, including in the P settings. This thing's in kill mode. So let's see how it goes. Oh, not bad. Okay, well, that's not bad. So I expected that this thing was going to be a bit abrupt right up the line, but it's not. And I think it's because it's got sine wave motor controllers and they've done a decent job tuning them. You can actually get pretty decent throttle control out of a square wave controller, but just in general, sine wave tends to be smoother. Oh, this is nice. Okay. It's got grunt, but it's not hard to control even with everything turned all the way up. Suspension is way smoother than the P1 3.0 or even the Solar EQ. It's a bit softer in the back. It's got nice damping. It's got hydraulic shocks, front and rear. I'm loving this dashboard. Look at this. This is in the sunlight, totally readable. Shade, of course, even easier. And it's got a lot of detail. I put the bars in the sort of middle position just now, and it's not gonna work. I'm gonna put it up higher. It just felt so tall when it's on the ground because the scooter is overall pretty tall. Okay, here we go. There we go. Got the top position. I'm gonna lock it down. All right, we're gonna go do the hill climb. I like to do it with a fresh battery because we want to, treat every scooter the same, and so we always do the hill climb with the battery fully charged. But yeah, this is nice. It's smoother all around than I expected it to be. Hydraulic brakes feel really good. They're nut brakes, which I love. Okay, so we're ready to do the hill climb test. And one of the challenges of doing this is that on a big scooter is that when you get to the top, you can be going like 35 miles an hour, and I've got like not that far to stop before I get to the stop sign. So it's always a challenge. You have to watch me hit the brakes at the top of the hill. So smooth on the brakes. That's nice.
We'll see how it did on the hill climb in just a minute, but let me sum up the ride quality first. Right off the bat, the P1 Pro was way smoother than I expected, particularly the rear shock, but also the throttle response, even with performance turned all the way up. The front quad shocks, like on many scooters, the P1 3.0 and many others where you see these shocks, it's a little stiff, but I definitely feel like it's less stiff on the P1 Pro because this scooter weighs 92 pounds, and so it's really more appropriate for heavy duty shocks like this. And that sort of smooths out the ride a bit. There are no damping adjustments on either the front or the rear shock, but the damping on the rear shock actually feels really, really good the way it is. You saw me adjust the handlebar height earlier, and it's got 3 height settings. There's 33 3/4 inches, 37 1/4, and 40 3/4 inches when it's all the way up. The lower of the 3 settings is mainly useful if you're riding with the optional seat. The middle setting is great if you're about 5 foot 8 inches tall or shorter, and then 5 foot 8 or above, you're gonna wanna use the top setting. Down here is the stem latch, and you know, it's not my favorite kind, but this is one of the better ones among the stem latches that look like this, if that makes any sense. And I'll show you how you do it. First, you unlatch the main latch here, and then you've got the safety catch right here, and it just goes down and locks into place. And then going back the other way is just the reverse. You unlock the safety, goes up, and you pull that down. And again, this is a lot smoother. Some of these slide really easily. You can see I'm just doing that with one finger, and some take a lot more effort. And this is one of the better ones. The handlebars themselves don't fold. They're kind of a mountain bike style bar, but I really like the shape of the bars. It's very comfortable when you're riding. And I also like the fact that you could change them out for just about any mountain bike handlebar if you wanted something different. And you probably can't tell from your viewpoint right there, but this deck is absolutely huge. It's around the same length as the one on the 3.0, but I'll put a side-by-side shot in here because it's just really hard to picture how wide this deck is. And I mentioned the 11-inch tires earlier, but I'm gonna do a little roll-in shot here so you can compare the 11-inch tires of the P1 Pro with the 10-inch of the P1 3.0. And it's hard to tell when it's up here on this stand, but ground clearance is also huge, which comes in handy if you wanna ride off of a curb or down some stairs. So let's look at build quality. About a week ago, I posted that clip of the yee-haw with me going by, and I got a lot of responses from people in the comments about how they've seen scooters that look similar to this that they could directly import from China. And that's sort of true. You'll see a lot of scooters with this stem latch, this deck shape, and then also even sometimes this fender that you could import yourself. And so I wanted to address sort of the pluses and minuses of going that way. And so obviously the plus is that you could potentially save some money. You could also get hit with customs fees on the back end of that though. I once bought some sunglasses directly from Italy, and like a month later I got a bill in the mail that I wasn't expecting, and I ended up having to pay that bill myself. Now the pluses of getting this scooter from Solar, on the other hand, are number one, you get a 2-year warranty, which is pretty huge. A lot of the places say they have warranty when you buy overseas, and then they just disappear if you go back to them. And so then there's spare parts. If you buy something and you import it yourself, you're just gonna have to hunt for every individual part you ever need for that scooter in the future, because there's just not gonna be a place to go buy it. And that's true on Amazon too. Think about that. When you see those listings, you don't see parts listed for those, non-name brand, name brand scooters over there. So parts availability is another big factor. Then there's the 11-inch tires with the sealant pre-installed, which is not a feature you're likely to find on a scooter you're gonna import yourself. And of course, you're gonna get it faster if it ships out of LA, which is where Solar's warehouse is located. And then there's a couple features that you're just not gonna get on other scooters. One is this proprietary display, which I think is really cool looking, and it's got an NFC card to unlock it. And then you've got the optional Tron lights, of course, which are also unique to this scooter. So I covered a lot of the build features earlier when I unboxed it, but there are a couple more things I can show you. One is that it's got a motorcycle grade horn. Whew. It's got the light switch up here, which controls the headlight and the Tron lights simultaneously. And then you've got your turn signals, but you can only see those from the back of the scooter. And then in addition to the NFC key that I showed you just now, it's also got an alarm on here, and I haven't really played with that much. There it goes. But you can apparently use this to lock the scooter as well. It's also got nut hydraulic brakes, which are among my very favorite hydraulic brakes. I like them a little better than Zoom's. I feel like they have a little bit better feel, and I feel like the reliability is a little stronger as well. Braking performance is very good, especially considering the height and the weight of this scooter. It stops from 15 miles per hour in just 11.5 feet and feels very stable while doing it. And a final note on build quality, it comes with a 3.5 amp charger, which is about twice as many amps as what we're used to seeing on sort of traditional scooters, but it still takes 8 to 9 hours to charge because of the large battery. So what don't you get? Well, you don't get an app, and you don't get bar and turn signals like we're starting to see on some of the more modern scooters, but you do get an absolute ton of performance for the price. And we'll see the results of our performance testing up next. So one of the things that struck me when I started looking at the numbers on the performance of the P1 Pro is they line up really, really close to the Dualtron Thunder, which is, a very well-respected scooter, but at about half the price. And now it's time to get into the range test. And this is gonna take about 2 or 3 hours, judging by the size of this battery. Just taking a break for a second because I think I'm at about the halfway point. So you can see I've got 22.9 miles on the odometer so far, about half on the battery gauge over here. And then let's see if it'll tell me the voltage. Oh, that where it was, 50.5. That's a little less than half on the voltage. Will I get the 50 miles that it says on the spec sheet? Probably not, because I'm riding in top gear with everything maxed out, and that's probably not how they tested for the spec sheet, but we'll find out. So we've covered 36.2 miles, and we've got 1 bar left. So are we gonna make it to 50 miles? I'm not so sure, but you know what? Let's keep riding. There's only one way to find out. Coming to the end. 9 miles per hour on flat ground. We are so close. All right, I am just barely moving under power right now. And there's the forerunner. I'm gonna have to do the walk of shame for the last 10 feet. Okay, so that's it. We're showing 37.2 miles on the odometer. It's almost always less than that when we check out the data from the data logger, because the speedometers tend to read 5% high, 10% high, and that means the odometers tend to do the same thing. So we'll find out when we analyze the data exactly how far we really went. With a battery about the same size as the eMove Cruiser S, you might expect it to get about 40 miles of range, and you'd be close. I covered 35.9 miles on ESG's hilly range test course with performance turned all the way up.
All right, well, I'm out at the top speedrun spot, and I'm about to find out if the Solar P1 Pro can really do 50 miles per hour. I'm gonna do 2 runs, 1 in each direction, and then average them together to cancel out any effect of wind resistance, and we'll find out what the true top speed is. And I'm honestly a little nervous. This is a 50 mile per hour scooter is what they say, and it doesn't have a steering damper. So, the first time out, high speed, I'm always a little nervous about, what the stability is gonna be like, both when I'm sustaining speed down the road and when I let off at the end of the run. Go. All right, not bad. Stability was good. I was a little worried about that. Let's go get the GoPro before somebody steals it.
6 kilowatts of peak power is just unheard of at this price, and the top speed and acceleration numbers behaved accordingly. The P1 Pro's ESG certified top speed was 50.0 miles per hour, making it by far the fastest electric scooter that we've tested at anywhere near this price. The 0 to 15 time was very good, but 0 to 30, like top speed, was absolutely unbeatable for the price. And 0 to 30 is something we're coming to appreciate more and more around here lately, because it's something you can use from stop sign to stop sign. I mean, you can just use it everywhere, where top speed is something you almost never use on a scooter this fast. And our final performance category, hill climb. You saw me do the hill climb earlier, and the P1 Pro takes second in class. And this is a scooter that's gonna climb just about any hill that you'll encounter at just about any speed that you want to go. When it comes to portability, one of the big downsides of the big P1 Pro versus the P1 3.0 is the weight. At 92.2 pounds, it's just not very portable, though one person can load it into an SUV by themselves. It's gonna be a struggle even to carry up one flight of stairs if you have to do it, on a daily basis. And if you go to put it in a trunk, you're gonna need to fold down at least one seat. Although dimensions-wise, this is actually not really bigger than like a Mantis King GT. It's just the weight. It's pretty heavy and it's a bit of an awkward lift. And now the new reliability score. The P1 Pro gets a good but not stratospheric 8.1 reliability score. It's pulled downward by a lack of a UL listing and that the battery uses generic 21700 cells. On the other hand, it's pulled upward by tubeless self-sealing tires, having a ton of spares available on the website, and of course the 2-year warranty. All right, I'm gonna push this out of the way, and I'm gonna bring in some alternative scooters, and we talk about what else you could buy for about the same price. When it comes to alternative scooters at this price point, it's a little weird because most of the scooters at this price are actually in a different class of scooters. They've got 10-inch tires and they weigh a lot less, but there are, 1 or 2 out there. So it's gonna be a little bit of a mixed bag this time. But the reason I'm doing it that way is I figure when people are shopping, you usually have kind of a budget in mind. Like, okay, I wanna spend less than $2,000. What's the best best scooter I can get? What's the most performance I can get, the most range, or whatever your parameter is that you like. And so that's kind of what I've gone with here, is like the best value performance scooters for less than $2,000. So let's have a look. We've got the Apollo Phantom V4 over here, and this is like the opposite end of the spectrum. It doesn't have that sort of crushing performance, but what it does have is like a ton of finesse. It's got like the world's best reach and brake lever over here, this electronic dedicated lever that just pulls you backward like a rubber band when you hit the brakes. The Phantom's got really solid performance, decent portability, and is just really well put together. And next up, we've got the Mantis King GT, and I'm gonna crouch down a little bit because I just realized I'm filming on my own today, so I'm having the camera follow me around here. But the Mantis King GT, when I think of this scooter, I just think about the amazing suspension. It's got adjustable hydraulic suspension. It's among the very, very best for this class of scooter. 10-inch tires. It's on the heavy side for a scooter with 10-inch tires, but just altogether, amazing suspension, amazing acceleration, and really, pretty good off-road, but 5 miles per hour slower than the P1 Pro. And then we've got the Varla Eagle 1 Pro, and this is a scooter we looked at, quite a while back. When we first evaluated this one, the shocks were not my favorite, and I've heard that they've upgraded them significantly since then, and so I might have a different opinion about it, but at the time, ride quality kind of wasn't there. But this is another sort of beast-like scooter with similar weight and 11-inch tires. So it kind of puts it in the same category as the Solar P1 Pro. The P1 Pro being way faster, but the Varla looking a little more modern. A little while ago, we had a video that kind of gave a glimpse backstage at the 150 or so scooters we have on hand here. And some people are wondering, why do you need all those scooters? And this is really what we use them for. The comparison scooters, it serves as sort of a library for us to be able to compare, one scooter against another one, even if it's something that we tested a long time ago. So who is the P1 Pro for? Well, if you're a newer rider, the P1 3.0 with its smaller 10-inch tires, might be a better fit for you because it's not quite as high performance, it's lighter weight, and of course it's less expensive. But the person that should get the P1 Pro is somebody who's looking for maximum performance, doesn't really care if there's an app, but does want a really long warranty. Because of the high performance, the P1 Pro is gonna work better for more experienced riders or, some new riders who weigh more than 220 pounds. And there's a certain consistency to the brand. Over and over again, the solar scooters that we've tested have been the absolute highest performance per dollar, if you measure by top speed, although, not the very latest frame style or the very latest design, and, of course, no apps. But another thing they have in common is that they're all just genuinely super fun to ride. I think that's because the two guys that kind of run the company, they ride all the time. I see them on social media. They don't let you know always who they are because they just kind of want to hang out with the rest of us and post their rides like we do. But I see you guys out there riding, and the fact that these guys ride all the time and are always making improvement is something I really think I can feel in the scooters. If you've had fun watching this video, please support the channel by giving us a thumbs up, subscribing here at ESG, and over our brand new Rider Guide channel that you might think you're subscribed to, but you're probably not. You can also support us by using the links down in the video description in the comments. We've got links to the P1 Pro and the rest of the scooters we talked about in the video, plus a coupon code ESG10 that'll save you 10% on all solar scooters. I'm Paul from Electric Scooter Guide. Ride safe and don't forget to wear your helmet.